Hey friends, welcome to my Christmas series, 2025. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love it if you hit that button. So for this idea, I went and grabbed some fabric from Walmart and I just got it in a nice creamy color. You could use an old t-shirt for this or an old sheet, and that would make it come in super cheap. And I'm cutting a nice big long rectangle. I'm going to take some water because it was wrinkled and I'm going to squirt it and then iron it. And oh my gosh, you guys, that iron is new. I found on Amazon. It was like $12 or something, and it gets so hot. It is such a good little iron. Oh my gosh. I love that thing. It is so easy to work with. Anyway, I folded the fabric in half and I'm going to be cutting it now at a diagonal, that's hard to say, angle all the way up to the corner to make a point. I'm using hot glue to hold this together and it works just fine. I did want to share though something that is really neat. Over the years, I've had countless comments from people saying that they use cheap hot glue for their pillow covers and it holds up through a wash. They wash the pillow covers on lukewarm water setting, so it's not too hot, and they don't put them in the dryer. They hang them out and it holds together, and people have washed them like up to 5 times. So you can buy hot fabric glue and cold fabric glue, but I just want to throw that out there because I got that feedback. So here are the doilies from the Dollar Tree, and I'm showing you that if you don't have lace like I do, you could just use those. They would come up absolutely beautiful. In fact, I had originally planned on doing that, and then I remembered I had purchased a lace panel from Amazon. So when I went to buy lace as fabric, it was actually more expensive per yard than if I purchased a curtain. So I found lace curtains on sale on Amazon in the summer. I think it was under $10 at the time, and there were 2 panels. That's a lot of lace, and it was really pretty, and I thought, wow, that's cheaper. I'm going to do it that way. So that's another idea for you. And of course, you can always hit the thrift stores, and it's hit and miss with that, but you could find lace there as well. And you could skip the lace if you want. You don't have to put lace. This is why it didn't matter whether for the bottom part, I chose to use my cream fabric because I purchased it and I thought, I'm trying to use what I have, but you could absolutely use an old white t-shirt for this because if you put lace on top, you're not going to see what's underneath it anyway. It's gonna, just any white or light fabric would work for this. And of course you could just find some pretty fabric that has a design and you don't even need to put the lace. But I've made a lot of Victorian vintage type Christmas crafts, so I kind of have a theme in one area of my home and I thought it would be nice to add to it. And I love vintage. It's always so pretty. And this is something that I did see being sold from a store online last year. And I thought, oh, I would love one of those. So I'm going to try making it next year because I was already done with my Christmas series. So anyway, after I'm done covering it, I just trimmed everything. And we're taking some stuffing from a Walmart pillow. I always go get the $3 pillows. I think they're a little over $3. And I stuff using that because it's cheaper than what you'd buy at the fabric store. Poor Joann's Fabric. And these poor fabric stores or these poor companies that make batting and polyfiber fill, it's hard to compete, right? When you can get a pillow for a little over $3. But anyway, here's where I made my mistake. I ended up closing up the bottom too soon. I don't know what I was thinking on that because I knew obviously the tree was going to need a trunk, and it is what it is. Don't do that. Don't close your bottom up. I end up having to cut it open again, but that's okay at all. It looks fine. And I left the top not glued on purpose. I suggest you do that as well because it's always hard to get up at the very top where it narrows, and it's so much easier to stuff it if it's open there because that way you can make sure it's uniform all the way down. And then I just trimmed the corners to kind of round them out because it looked a little too boxy and square. I don't know if you guys can tell, but that's it. This is what we have so far. Now I'm grabbing one of these Dollar Tree candle holders, and I'm giggling here because there is a story with this. I had actually already did this with a gold one thinking the top would come off, and it didn't. The bottom came off like this, and I thought, well, okay. I bent the heck out of it. I have to throw that one away. So I went and grabbed a white one, did the same thing. And if you bend it back and forth, you can get it to disengage. I was hoping to turn it upside down and glue it onto the round base. However, the base got warped too much. So I thought that's fine. We'll do a different base. If you come across those thick rounds, they're small little round discs that they're chunky. They're about 1/2 inch or more thick. At Dollar Tree, those make great bases, so you could get one of those. Anyway, I'm taking some pine now. We're going to put some embellishment on this, and then this is the scrap lace that's left over here. I'm going to kind of turn this into a ribbon, and I wanted to keep this really, really simple. I'm trying to remember again what I saw from a store because I really liked the look of it. So I'm putting the lace bow on top just to cover that pointy top. You could put a star, you could do whatever you want. I wanted to keep it uniform and all lace looking. I didn't want too many heavy things on the top and the bottom. I just wanted one accent point with the pine and the berries, but of course you can embellish this however you want. So I'm just adding some different pines and some different berries, and originally I had put a berry underneath, and I end up deciding I want a little burlap in the center there just to break up the colors. And then I had to pull the berry out. You'll see me pull it out from underneath, that one right there. I took it out, and then I pushed the burlap down and then glued the berry on top of that so that we have like a little spray of burlap. I just thought that looks pretty. And the burlap was unraveling quite a bit. That's why I chose it. I actually liked the look where it looked a little bit distressed, but I thought, well, that could unravel all the way and then it would look messy. So I did put some hot glue behind the burlap just to kind of hold it together so it permanently stays looking like it is right now. And then I got these vintage gift tags last year. I thought they were so beautiful. There's different ones you can choose from. And I just took some white cotton string, tied it on, and glued it on the top. And now I'm taking, this is actually, I don't know if you guys recognize this, this is the top of a Dollar Tree sign. This is what I ended up using as the base. I just paint it white and I fill in the little holes, at the top there. You're not going to see them anyway. And here's where I had to cut it open right there. That's why I said don't close it up because you're going to need it to be open. And I squirt a bunch of hot glue down inside, and I'm just pushing this metal piece up the center here, which, by the way, these metal candlestick holders, they make really high-end. Well, you can put a plaque on them. You could put for tree trunks like this, because they're metal. They just end up making it look store-bought and really nice when you're done. And then I needed to add more batting in the front there to kind of cover up the candlestick holders. So if I had to do this again, I think I would add like a cereal box to the back part of the fabric. Glue the candlestick holder down first and then put the batting on top of it and behind it a little bit and around it. I think that would actually be a lot easier, and it's just another option for you. And of course I checked to make sure the tree could stand. You saw I gave you the thumbs up. We're good to go. And now I glued it on the bottom of the stand and we're all done. I love this. Let me know what you think. For this one, I grabbed these little mittens from the Dollar Tree for $1.25 last year. They're probably $1.50 now, but here's the funny thing. I have been looking at these on and off for, 2 years, and I just noticed they're not mittens. They're gloves with fingers. I don't know why my brain saw mittens, so I thought, well, that's fine. That's fine. We're going to ad lib. So I went ahead and I started cutting these in the shape of a mitten, and it was super easy to do. As you can see, you just kind of curl your scissor around and voila, look at that. You've got a mitten. And then I just took my hot glue gun and I'm gluing the seams closed. How fun is that? Oh my gosh. So I found this wood round at Dollar Tree, and I will say they have improved their wood rounds. Raise your hand if you guys remember how thin these used to be. They were so thin when they first came out, they warped. It was like, are you kidding? So I used to offer the MDF little signs, the MDF board, because at least it wasn't warped. So now they're making these really thick. They're gorgeous. So I grabbed a bunch of them and I painted this one black, and now we're using a sponge brush and I'm just tapping on some white paint. So the goal that I'm trying to do, this is what I'm trying to achieve here, is a frosted window look. So I started off tapping the white paint on, and then I take another sponge brush with more black paint and I kind of swish it and move it into the white, and we end up with this effect. I thought it looks pretty good. It looks frosty. And now we're taking the end of a paintbrush and we're adding some, you'll never guess it, snowflakes. So these are snowflakes. And once they were dry, I went ahead and folded the top of the little mitten, and we're going to be gluing it down on top of this board. However, I didn't glue it down for a permanent hold. It's more like when I ended up gluing it, I just tacked it down because see how I just slipped that white cotton string around the bottom of it? You don't want to commit right away because you might end up changing your mind how you're going to decorate this. So just tack it down so it doesn't move around, so you have it in the center, and leave the top open and loose like this so that you can work with whatever you're going to, stuff the mitten with. And I chose pine. And for this, I just trimmed off the bottom of this pine and saved those pieces. You can use those for crafts later, like you saw with the other craft, or in other crafts I've made over the years. I frequently use little bits of pine like that. So save those, don't throw them away. And this is also a pick from the Dollar Tree. I love that one. It's so sparkly. I bought a bunch of those too because I think they're so nice for winter, and they just add a little bit of glitter and sparkle into your Christmas or winter crafts. Makes it look pretty, kind of makes it come alive. And this pine right here that I just pushed in, it's the tallest one to the left-hand side. That is Norfolk pine. Very beautiful. I will leave the link down below in my description box, but it's another pine you can add to your entourage of pine. I like to use different types because I think it gives it a nice vibe. And I added some pine cones, and this is when I go to glue it down because now I've got it stuffed. I know how thick it is, and I can go ahead and now tie my cotton string on correctly because it won't be too small, right? If you tie it early, it could be too loose or too small. This way you know exactly how to tie it. I went for the snowball in the front, the look of the snowball. It was a pom-pom from Dollar Tree. Instead of a snowflake, you could also do a snowflake, but I just thought the snowball was really cute, little pom-pom. And now I'm adding the stick-on snowflakes from Dollar Tree. They also have a little bit of glitter on. Again, I wanted to add just a little bit of sparkle. And yes, ladies and gents, the holes on these rounds are too small. So I just took a drill to make them bigger. Because for me, when I see that really thin twine, it kind of gives it away that it's from a dollar store, right? You don't see that when you buy it from the higher end stores. So the hangers, if they do use twine, they use the thick, chunky one. So this is the Walmart twine. I just thread it through, tied a knot on the back, secured it with some hot glue, and I'm going to cover it with some Christmas ribbon on the back just to make it look better and to help hold it on. Now, if you're a really picky person, you can always cover the back of this with brown paper, or you can paint it black. I never worry about that because I'm cheap and I like to preserve all my craft supplies, including my paint. I shouldn't say cheap. Extremely budget friendly. That's what my channel is, you guys. But if I give these away as gifts, I do actually finish the back. For me, I don't care so much. And then I just secured the top with 2 wood beads. I thought that made it look really nice. And I added a bell, again, for a little bit more sparkle that I thought it was missing in the center there. Look how cute. And then when I held this back, I realized the pine is disappearing into the black paint. So I frosted everything up, and this is what we end up with. I think it is so beautiful, so cute, and you can leave this up all the way through winter. Let me know what you think. This is a candy cane from the Dollar Tree, and you're just going to start off by removing all of that tinsel garland. And that's what it looks like underneath. But you see all those little spiky plastic things? That's not really going to work for our project today. So I'm going to take my wire cutters and just snip those off along the edge. You don't need to worry about the ones on the inside in the center, just around the edge. Then we're going to take some masking tape. Any size masking tape will work. I'm using the Dollar Tree masking tape, and I'm just going to cover this entire candy cane form. At the very bottom, the way I handled it was just to go vertically and put little pieces that way and then squish them down with my hand so they took the shape of the curve on either end, and this is what it looks like. Now I'm using some polyfill, but you can use cotton or like an old t-shirt, anything just for some padding on the top. You probably actually don't even need anything. I just wanted it to have a little bit of a smoother finish to it, so I use the polyfill. You could also use old pillow stuffing, old foam, packing foam that you get in packages, so definitely use your imagination and have fun. But we're cutting this out the shape of the candy cane, and I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue it all around the edges, pulling gently, because as you know, for those of you that have worked with polyfill, if you pull too tight, you'll tear it. So it's definitely a lot of patience. You just gently kind of tuck it around the edges, but we're all done and it's covering the candy cane now. So I have this material. It's from Hobby Lobby. I actually got it on Amazon, but I found out somebody was selling Hobby Lobby ticking stripe material or fabric on Amazon. So I think they went and bought it and probably marked it up. I probably got ripped off, you guys, because they know it's popular during Christmas. Anyway, I cut it into strips and I went ahead and I wrapped up my candy cane that way because I thought the strips just made it look more like the stripes, I guess, a little bit. And of course, it makes going around the bends a lot easier. So handled the tip of the candy cane exactly the same way that I did with the polyfill. I'm just gently gluing it where I need to so there's no weird lumps and bumps and unevenness. And wherever the strips met, you saw right there, I tucked my glue gun under the seam. I went up every single seam like that on the front and the back with a little bit of hot glue to make sure it doesn't wiggle or come loose down the road. And then I took some different pine picks, just different kinds of pine, and I tied them together with some Dollar Tree twine. I'm going to go ahead and use my white paint from Apple Barrel, frost it up. I'm in the mood to frost my pine up this time, you guys, and I'm going to glue that on top of the candy cane. Hey everyone, here are the other places you can follow me. My Facebook is brand new. I share other things over there, so be sure to check it out and follow me. You can also share your crafts there as well. I'm using some of these berries that I got off of Amazon. The link is down below in my description box if you're interested. And then these little confetti stars, they come with trees, snowflakes, and I think red boots. They are a great substitute in a pinch for those primitive stars. I just paint them with a nutmeg brown from Apple Barrel paint, sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon. I did do the underside as well. And that's it. Look at that. They look awesome. And now I am taking this burlap ribbon that I got from Temu. If anyone's interested, I can go hunt for it and find the link for you, but it has a natural curl to it because it came curled like that. And look how it holds its curl. It has no wire in it either. I just thought that was so cute. So I went ahead and cut 2 pieces off. You can see what I'm doing. And I just hot glued it underneath the pine. And then I decided to go ahead and make this look a little, you could skip this part. This is just my style, but I am doing like a vintage Christmas still, kind of tying it in with last year because I made a bunch of new things. So I just take the cinnamon and I rub it all over, gives it a nice natural kind of stain and it gives dimension. I like that look, plus it makes it smell really pretty and Christmassy. So I hung a hanger on the back, put a little bit of the cloth over it, but I actually end up moving this higher up because it wasn't tilting the right way when everything was said and done. And now I'm going to test it, but that's it. I love the way this came out. You'll have to let me know what you think. For this project, you're going to need a Dollar Tree glass candle holder and one of these stackable organizing drawers. I use a heat gun to remove the plastic label and it comes up perfectly. It doesn't leave a film at all if you heat it up enough. Next, I'm going to use a printable for this that I like. It's a Santa one. You can find lots of them online and I will leave some links down below. I used double-sided sticky tape for this after I measured it and cut it to fit, and I'm just going to stick it inside the drawer. Next, I'm using some Dollar Tree faux snow, and I'm just going to pour a little bit into the bottom of this. I'm going to take some of these fairy lights and I'm going to spin them around a circular object to make them like in a wreath shape, and then I'm going to press them down inside the drawer. I'm going to put the drawer back in, and I'm going to take some double-sided sticky tape, place it on the back of the battery pack, and then place it behind the image. Isn't that pretty? So a super easy way to elevate these is just to use some E6000 and hot glue and glue it on top of that glass candlestick holder. It looks so pretty that way. So I'm keeping this really simple, but of course you can always put some little more items down in the snow if you want to glue them on the bottom, or add a bow, kind of like what I did to my Halloween one, but these are so fast and easy to do, and they make great gifts.
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas!